If we can hire someone or promote someone within the organization
We
who's
have
already got
some
knowledge of
lower-level
units,
clerk positions
we'll
that can
certainly do that.
aspire to.
Well, of course.
That's
course.
our goal, and if we can't, then certainly we'll go out. But keep in mind, the rate for the position. If you take that salary and you multiply it out, I would suggest that hiring someone with munis experience at that rate of pay would really be a remarkable find. I don't think you can find it.
Okay, I missed the point, sorry.
Just
Next?
next.
Wait a minute, are we all in support
Yeah, I'm in
of?
favor.
Yeah.
Right, do we need a motion for that, Greg?
No, I just was bringing it to you
Okay.
for your review. I wanted to expose a little sunshine.
All right.
Town council has given us some additional information on the changes in the conflict of interest law. The main upcoming date is we have to designate this municipal liaison. Has to be done by the board, so I'll give you my recommendation. We have until January to do that, and then we need to provide all of our employees with the law no later than the end of December, and begin a system where anyone that comes on board, they will be receiving a copy of the law. What remains to be further addressed is ongoing training for additional employees. So this is, the reason why I bring it up is it's another one of these state requirements that's been dropped in our lap. We're asked to uphold the law, but yet it's literally dropped in our lap.
Greg, from a practical point of view, I can see that it would be relatively easy to take care of Board of Selectmen, town employees, right? But then you get into all these appointed committees, and how do you go about?
Anyone that's not a special municipal employee, the statute recognizes the Board of Selectmen has a right to designate certain positions as special municipal employees. So anyone that's not a special municipal employee, paid or unpaid, is considered to be a municipal employee within the definition of the law. But we'll need to provide some training. The good news is we can do it online. Individuals can do it online, but it is a requirement. So it's not like we can bring everyone into a room on a Thursday afternoon or Thursday
what?
evening.
I just want to know, or what?
Ken.
Can you?
Yes, if I could, Mr. Valiakonis, on page 1 of 2, about 3/4 of the way down, the State Ethics Commission has indicated that group training sessions may be held
Yeah,
by a municipality. And basically what it says is they're all in a meeting room and they just sign off at the end that they went through the training.
So, what happens if you get a volunteer committee person that doesn't get trained? Either refuses to or doesn't bother?
They
What do
have
we
to.
do? Do we kick them
Or
off?
what?
What?
Yeah, let's say, or what?
Yeah, or what, you know?
Well, are we allowed to keep them
I
on
see
there?
just from
I don't
a,
know.
well, I mean, if we're responsible.
Yeah, well, I know the original paperwork we had said there could be fines involved. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's the thing that's,
yeah,
yeah, I think it puts a burden that goes well beyond the scope of.
The local communities are paying for the sins of our state
Speakers.
officials.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
Our former speakers, yeah.
yeah, unfortunately, yeah, we are.
It's a tender way to put it.
But just as a suggestion, because I have that same concern, Bob, and I've also let most all of my committees know about this. But maybe we could do such as the town of Reading does. They have a night, and they all get into a big room, and the presentation is done, and
How long does it take?
about an hour,
I don't know.
that's all. And,
Has anyone done it on the web yet?
My understanding is the state is refining their online training program, so the law was passed.
So it isn't
and
even
they-
available.
They didn't have their program yet.
They have one for the
Is
state.
that for
'cause I've
state
already taken
employees?
it. Yeah, they have it for state employees.
For state employees.
They don't do it annually, though. They were doing it years ago.
Yeah. You remember how
I
long
don't think my
it took?
ethics have slipped, but no. Maybe I need to be retrained.
Do you remember how long it took you?
I don't think it took very long. I don't think it took very long. Actually, they did it two ways. So I do know. I think we did one online, and then there was one where they took everybody from our division, brought us in, and they had someone speak to us. giving examples as to what you can and
Well,
can't
since
do.
we don't communicate regularly with all the various committees in town, I think we need to get, when things are firmed up, a set of instructions mailed out to each individual. I mean, I don't know how
Well,
else.
the
to-
reappointments are coming up too, so we'll get,
Well,
maybe
the
the
chairs-
we got a third of the people anyway.
The chairs of each committee are notified, and they have to provide their members?
Well, I think we need to know what the
The notice.
program is first, what it's gonna
Right.
take, and, you may even
Right.
be able to say at your regularly scheduled meeting, set aside a half an hour, and we'll arrange for some sort of training to take place, but, or do a group session, as Joe suggested,
Yeah.
get the
That's what
vast
Reading does.
majority of them, all
Who
done at
did the
once.
training, who does the training?
Somebody from the Ethics Commission actually came in and did it for free in Reading.
So we'll schedule, I know, we'll get even with the state, we'll, don't print this, Robert. We'll go ahead and, schedule the ethics committee, ask them to come into every one of our meetings one at a time, until we wear them out.
They may say no to that.
Yeah,
But,
probably.
whatever.
Yeah, I don't know, I just think if we're obligated and can be fined for it, I just think that it's gonna be a lot of work to get everybody.
It
You
is
know, and
It
because
is.
it's gonna require cooperation from everybody.
huge amount of work in a community that has a lot of volunteers.
Right. And I'm a volunteer, and why should I be bothered taking this? You
Right.
know, why do I have to do this? It's just,
We can have the forestry committee one as they're cutting down the trees, and,
Oh, they know about it
but,
already.
anyway, we'll have them out there.
I told them
Have
about
the
it.
ethics commission out there, just
In the
give them a
forest.
session out there with the chainsaws,
anyway. All right.
That was an FYI.
So I think we do have to get some kind of a notification,
Yeah.
out,
We're,
a formal notification.
We're scrambling, I mean, the only thing that we do right now is the sexual harassment. When someone comes on board, they need to sign an announcement. They need to sign up, is it every year or every 2 years? Once a year.
And does that go for committee members too? I mean,
employees.
well, employees, yeah.
But they, the way it's handled is they just receive a copy of the policy, so they receive a printed
Yeah,
copy of
and-
the policy,
yeah,
sign
right.
off. There's no training program.
No, they sign it, they read it, they sign it. Maybe they just sign it
Sign
and
it,
it
don't
goes
read
in a
it.
personnel file, right?
As Selectman Yule had pointed out earlier, I've given you a copy of a letter from the Mass Municipal Association. I thought it was quite well written in terms of the magnitude of the budget problem, which we've all heard about, ranging somewhere between $200 million when it started off and went up quickly to $500 million, and then I heard that it was $1 billion. I think within a period of about 7 days, it went from $500,000,000 to $1 billion. But regardless of the number, we have not yet heard specifics from the Commonwealth in terms of where they will be making cuts. However, we do anticipate that local aid will be targeted. I think it's quite easy for the state to look at communities that have the local option meals tax and the lodging tax, and to remove those revenues with the understanding that cities and towns have the opportunity to regain those through adoption of the local tax procedure. However, we've not heard that that's by any means certain. But the reason why I wanted to provide you with this was to give you an idea of some things that the Mass Municipal Association believes should take place as initiatives before cuts take place to local aid. And they are listed here, empowering communities to modernize their health insurance plans outside of collective bargaining. Presently, any plan design issues, any matters involving co-payments or deductibles, those are all subject to collective bargaining, and in fact, they sometimes serve as a hindrance to making changes in those areas. A reform in fixing the Quinn bill, which is presently a major new unfunded mandate on cities and towns. 3, ending the telecommunications tax loophole. I think we've been talking about this for the better part of 2 years. And it was my understanding that the state budget that went into effect on July 1 closed this loophole, but apparently the loophole still has some aspects that are open and is not certain. Number 4 is fixing flaws in the charter school that harm local school districts across the state. So as an individual goes to a charter school, the state aid revenues follow that individual. And then the 5th recommendation that they make is extending the pension funding schedules to avoid spiking pension costs due to recession-driven decline in system assets. And there's some additional detail that's provided here. So I think It was pretty good stuff. Whether it will become reality, we do not know. And we do not know what the appetite is of the legislature to do any of these items. But I can tell you that before state aid is cut, I would hope that the governor and the legislature would look at these areas as providing some level of relief to us.
I think they need to add a number 6 to this, and that's special education.
They have not given the governor, as far as I know,
The 9C cuts,
the
yeah.
9C cut authority, so there's gonna be some negotiations, and I think our representatives will know across the state that, with the cut coming, that they're gonna have to do something. I would think that this is probably a good opportunity, if in fact there's gonna be cuts, and I suspect there will be, to perhaps provide some relief in the form of some of these requirements.
Well, again, I think they should add a number 6 here, which is special education.
Yeah.
Whereby, they need to,
Absolutely.
Put all the hard ones in there. How about prevailing wage law?
I wouldn't go on that one, but anyway. Necessarily agree on that one.
I
But
agree.
but-
Special
but
ed
as
has
far
to
as,
be
but as far as the
addressed.
allocation of
Yeah.
special
Special ed,
education now,
that's- yeah.
just because of whoever moves into the community, you get,
Mhm.
you have the responsibility of taking care of the educational needs of these kids. But it's all based upon, who moves in, who moves out,
You have absolutely no control.
There's no rhyme or reason to it yet the state oversees all of the programming and also has final say as to whether or not the ed plan is okay or not. So they need to just have
you know
it.
what the crime is here, associated with what's going on, is that there's no action being taken. It's slow, right? It'll be mid-year,
Right.
and then we're stuck with making up the difference over a period of a whole half year instead of 9 months.
Which is one of the questions that I have and alluded to a little bit earlier. What are we doing as a board or administration at this point, since we've just, it's pretty much coming to a reality here again, that we're going to get saddled with another cut in local aid within the current fiscal year. What do we have in place to buffer ourselves from this reality? We did a good job last year because we acted early. We acted in October.
I think we'll be in a better position to answer that question at our next meeting. Would you say, Greg? Because we're going through the revenue plan for 2011, and we're also looking at the results of 2009. I think we can make an assessment there. And then we're going to have to make some recommendation as to, and we'll have a financial planning team meeting on Friday, as to what contingency plan. It's subject to put on the table before, but we haven't made any decisions as to what we would do, what we should do.
So the finance planning team is meeting this Friday,
Right.
and this is going to be the topic of discussion.
Topic of discussion is the revenue plan for 2011, but out of it, there's some analysis associated with where we stand with our revenue forecast even for 2010.
If I might make a suggestion, is that we can't anticipate, and again, we don't know what the number is yet, but I don't care.
No, I know,
Pick a
that's-
number.
Greg picked a number at one time, we talked about this a month ago, right?
Would have been a number that we would have been more than happy to accept.
Right.
And that would have been just as a result of the revenues due to the meals tax, potentially $100,000 a year. We could cover, we have enough contingencies built in where we could cover that. I need to go back and revisit the numbers for this year, and have some additional information for our next meeting. I don't have that with me tonight.
If you can have it on as a topic of discussion on the agenda item for our next meeting, I think it's important.
Yep.
That we,
I had hoped by now we'd have some hint as to,
if you're going to rely upon.
no, but I mean, it would make it easier to,
Sure.
But again, giving the governor, and it's not just the governor, I mean, the governor's he's in the position where he has to deliver the bad news, but I mean, he's not the one that's collecting the money and the revenue. Through no small effort on his part and the legislature's part, they raise the the
Yep.
sales tax.
No,
If you